I think Sanjeev sir is now with us. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I welcome you on the 7th day, session number 2 on this ongoing workshop. Our resource person, Dr. Sanjeev Sharma, will proceed with his fourth lecture of the series today. And this session will be chaired by Mr. Kuldeep Singh. So please post your queries to him or to everyone in the group. Okay, yes, Sanjeev sir, you may proceed, sir. Sanjeev sir, I think you are again muted, sir.
Okay, is it okay?
Yes, sir. Now you are
Hello?
audible.
Okay. Voice is clearly audible?
Yes, sir. Voice is audible, sir. And your screen is
And
also
screen?
visible now. Yes, sir. Your
Okay,
screen is
okay,
visible.
okay, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you. So in the end of the last session, you sent me some queries. There were two queries, main queries. One was someone asked that why we use the AND in the print statement. So let me show you what is the function of that AND. Yeah. So if I did not use suppose I write a for loop. Uh, yes. Yeah. For loop. Suppose for I in range of 1 to 11, I just print I. So what the output I'm getting? I'm getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Obviously its output is fine, but every number is in the new line. But I don't want this thing. I just want to print it in a single line. So what I will do, this time I will put and this one. Now the output is in the single line. So the main function of this AND parameter in the print is to block this new line character which is the default in the print statement. So by using this AND, we will get the output in a single line. Not every time it will go to the new line. This is the main function of this AND. I hope the doubt will be clear now why we are using this in the print statement. So if we will not use this, we will get every character every time output in the new line. And if we use this, that then we will get the output in the same line. Now we are giving one character spacing. Now let's try it again, and I'm giving some more space in it. Let's see what happened. Now the space has been increased. So the purpose of this one is to give the space. If you want to give more space between the output, you can give like from this AND parameter in the print statement. The second doubt that I received is was regarding two programs that I given yesterday. One was to check if input number is palindrome or not. Palindrome means if we reverse a number, then the output should be same as the original number. That is called palindrome. And another was the Armstrong number. So first, I have just written small program. Uh, yeah, this one. This program is just gives the reverse of a number. What I have done, I have just taken an input from the user, mentioned there is a message, enter a number. The number will be stored in num variable. Then I have taken another variable x, put the num in that so that it is saved at some other place also, because we are going to change the value of the num in the while loop. So we have saved it, save a copy of this num number in some other variable. Taken a reverse variable, initially it is a 0, use the while loop. So while the value of this num is positive and keeps on getting the remainder, just get remainder, store it in remainder variable, and then again divided. This double slash gives the floor division. Floor division means if suppose we have a 10 and we divide it by 3. So what is the output that we'll get? Generally 3.33333. But if we are using this floor division, we are using the double slash, then on dividing 10 with this 3, we'll get the output as 3. So it gives the floor means lower portion. If you are getting 3.3, the answer will be 3. Okay? The floor function is included in this. So then we are adding that remainder to the reverse portion. It is a creation of the reverse of the number that we are multiplying this every time the remainder with the multiplying the reverse number with the 10 and then adding the remainder. This is the process to generate a number. Suppose we have a 12, then 12 is generated by 1 into 10 plus 2. So it's like that. And then I'm printing the reverse. Let me check. I have not checked it. Just let me run the. Suppose I give input 1, 2, 3. I'm getting the output as 3, 2, 1. But just give the reverse. Let me run it again. Let's give some bigger number. Suppose I give number is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm getting the output 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. So, but my program was to check if a number is palindrome or not. So the palindrome, to check the palindrome, I have to modify it. It gives the reverse, but I don't want the reverse. I want to check for the palindrome. I will put a condition here. If original number was, I have already saved it some variable x is equal to the new number reverse generated is stored in REB is reverse. Then we can print yes, it is palindrome. Then we can print yes, it is palindrome, otherwise not. So there is no need to print this. And you can put some else part, else you can print, simply say no. So let's try it. I entered a number 1, 2, 3, 4. It's a no, it's not a palindrome. Let me check sorry, I have to run it again and say 121. Yes, it is palindrome. So what I have done, I have just taken a number input, stored it in some number, and here I created a duplicate copy of this number because this is going to be changed in this while loop. The value of the original number is going to be changed in this while loop. That's why I have taken a duplicate copy so that I could compare the reverse number with this original number. So here in if condition, I have checked the original number which was stored in X with the reverse number that I have created using this while loop. How the reverse is being created? To create the reverse, I need to separate each digit. So how that is done? Suppose I have a number. Let me explain on this notepad. Suppose we have this number 1, 2, 3, 4. So when we apply the first operation, that is number modulus 10. So what will the output? The output will be, what will the remainder in this? Will be 4. It means the 4 is separated. The second step, I have applied this number 1, 2, 3, 4 double slash 10. So what will the output of double slash 10? Output will be 1, 2, 3 only. Because it will give 123.4. Because of this floor function, it will give 123. Then I put reverse is equal to reverse into 10 plus remainder. Initially reverse was 0. Initially reverse was 0. I have taken it as 0. Reverse is equal to reverse into 10. That is equal to again 0 and multiply by 10 plus plus remainder. What is the value of remainder? It is 4. It is 4. So what we'll get ultimately, we will get the value of the reverse as the reverse value will be after this operation it will be 4. So the loop will again execute, and next time instead of 1 2 3 4 it will be 1 2 3 only, because now the value of the number has been changed to 123. So 123 modulus 10 will give us 3. So next time we'll get it 3 here, and here will be 12. So what we'll get in the reverse? Reverse will get in the previous value of the reverse, which is 4, multiply by 4 multiply by 10 and plus remainder, which is 3. So we will get 43. We are getting 43. But now the reverse has been started. Now we are getting 43. And what will happen in the next step? Next step, again the loop will execute. Now this time 12 will be there. 12 instead of 123. Now 12 will be here. 12 modulus 10 will get 2. And 12 by 10 will get 1. So 43 multiplied by 10 plus 2 will be 432, and next time 432 multiplied by 10 plus 1, 4321. So in this way we will get the reverse of the number from this loop, and that reverse is then compared with the original value that we have input, and if both the values are same, then we print yes, it is palindrome, otherwise it is not palindrome. I hope now doubt will be clear. For the next part, your next problem was to check if a number is Armstrong number or not. For that, most of the portion is again same. Let me copy the same code. I'm copying the same code and make changes in it. This one is now what I have to do. First of all, in the starting, all the steps are same. Just instead of reverse, let me take some. So they have to take some sum. That sum is equal to 0, and then we are getting, instead of remainder, take some other variable. I don't want to change this. Let it be D, and number is again changed. Instead of reverse, what I will do, change sum is equal to sum previous value plus cube of the digit which I have just separated it from the number. That is D multiply by D multiply by D. This one. So now if x is equal to this sum, then we can print yes, it is Armstrong. Otherwise it will print no. Let me just check it. First save it. So we have taken a number as input, and number we stored in some other variable. I think yes, we stored in some other variable. Initialize sum is equal to 0. Again for the same process to separate the digit, each digit from the number. So if number is 123, if we separate the first 3, then 2, then 1, and then making a cube of that digit and adding them. Okay, let's start it, run it. Suppose I enter number 1 2 3. I'm getting no, it's not a Armstrong number. I think there is a number. Let me check. I guess the number was 153. I think it should be, yes, it is Armstrong. You can check it out. 153. 1 cube plus 5 cube plus 3 cube. 1 cube is 1, then 5 cube is 125, 3 cube is 27. So 125 plus 27 plus 1, again 153. 1 cube plus 5 cube plus 3 cube, When we add it, it comes out to be 153. So this number is Armstrong. So this is according almost same as done for the palindrome. Yeah, this one. So what we have done here, again we separate 8 digit and then take the cube of this and keeps on adding it. And then finally, whatever the answer we get, we compare it with the original number that we have input. And if it is same as the original number, then it is Armstrong, and otherwise it is not Armstrong. I hope now this doubt will also be clear. So now we will continue with our next topic, next session. So next we will start with the functions now. So functions are the you can say one of the fundamental components of every programming language. It is a major part of every programming language. So when we talk about what is function, what is the definition of the function, it's a very simple. Just we put some lines. We want to execute some lines together, and we put them in a block and give it some name. That is called a function. We put some lines of coding in a block, combine them, and give them a common name. And whenever we have to execute those lines, we use that common name for their execution. And that common name is called function. So why we need the function? There are some points, there are some advantages of the using the function. The first is it prevent repeated work. If we have a program in which we have to write certain code again and again, suppose I am writing a program to copy a data from one file to another file. So my task is read first 20 lines, copy it, move it to some other file. Again, read next 20 lines. I am doing the repeated work same and same. And to read the 20 lines, suppose I have to copy from 10 files to a single file. What I have to do, I have to open each file one by one, then copy data, paste it to another file. So I have to perform 3 tasks. First is to open a file. Second is copy the data. Third is paste it into another file. So every time I open a file, I have to perform these 3 tasks. And suppose I have 100 files from where I have to copy the data and paste it to a single file. It means I have to write the same code 100 times. Just open a file, copy data, paste it some other. So what I will do, instead of writing these 3 lines of code 100 times, I will just give these 3 lines a common name and will call it as a function. Whenever I use that common name, that 3 lines will be executed. So it means repeated work will be prevented. This was a small example that there is a coding of just 3 lines. There are sometimes there are 20 lines, 50 lines, or 100 of lines of the work that we have to uh, repeat every time. So functions are very beneficial in that case. Second, reusability of code. We can use the same code at some. Suppose I created a function uh, in uh, in a program. I can use the same function in some other program also. I can reuse the code. I need not to write the code again for some other program. In the same we use also, but for some other program, I can use the same function. Time saving, obviously, if the coding reduces, the time will be saved. Increase readability of the code. So when we create a program using modular approach or using functional approach, the size of the code decreases. So as the size decreases, its readability increases. We can easily read the code. We can easily identify the errors. We can execute the program module by module. If there is some error in a program, we can check each and every. If it is in the modular form, then we can check each and every modules. Increase understanding of the problem. Naturally, if it is in a modular form, it is in the form of functions, then it is very easy to understand it. One more advantage is that it hides the data. What is happening in the inside the function? what is happening inside the function is not visible, because that is written in a bracket and we are using a common name, and what is inside that common name, what are the lines that are executed, only the developer knows. The user just use the name of the function. So it also gives this type of abstraction. Then components of function. When we talk about the function, there are few terms that we should know. One is the uh, function name, its return type, and then comes parameter and arguments. So these are some terms which are used, which are related with the functions. For example, if I'm using int sum ab, here the word int, it shows the return type. The word sum, sum, it is the name of the function, and in bracket a comma b, these are the parameter that we have passed into the function. These are just general example. Not I'm talking about the Python case. These are general case that whenever we talk about the function, there are three things. One is the return type. Return type means what is the output of the function, and parameter you can say what is input to the functions, and the name is what is the name we are using to execute the function. And further, there are two things for the function: function definition and function calling. Definition means we have to write the code that what the function will do, and calling means we have to execute, we have to call the functions that we have written. Now when we talk about the Python functions, uh, in Python there are various types of parameters that are used. But before going this, let me show you how to create a function. The function is created by using the def keywords. In Python, we use a def keyword to create a function. We use def, then function name, then we pass the parameter into the function. So there are two terms, one is parameter, second is the argument. So parameter means name that appears when the function is defined. Argument is the values that we pass when the function is called. Let me explain it with an example, programming example. Yeah, this is the simplest example of the function. I have created a function. The name of the function is function1. You can give any name. It's just like name of identifier. Name of the function, the rule which were applied on the name of identifier, that it should not have a space, it can start with the underscore, it should not start with the digit. All these will be applicable to function name also. Def is a keyword which shows that now a function is going to be defined. Function name, then these two brackets are used. These two parentheses are used. This is the indication that this function, one, the name that I have used is a function. Then colon, colon means now you have to write, you have to define what this function will do. So I have just written one line in the function. Here is some print statement. This is the first function. I have just written one statement only in the function. So these two lines created a function and define it. Define means what the function will do. It will just print a single line. This is first function. Now in this line I have just called this function. To call the function, you have to just write the function name followed by parentheses. To define the function, use the def keyword, function name followed by parentheses followed by colon. Then write down what the function will do. To call the function, you have to just use the function name followed by parentheses. Let's execute it. When I will execute it, it just gives a single line. This is first function. The function perform just a print a single line. Now let's see some other example also. Now this is the function. Yesterday we created a program to find greatest of 3. Now I have created a function of this program. This code is almost same. This code is same as I read yesterday. I showed you yesterday. Only what I have changed, I have put this code under this function. I given the name to the function greatest of 3. I have passed 3 argument a, b, c, and then these are called parameter a, b, and c. I have told you that the variable that we pass at the time of defining the function. Now we are defining the function. When we use the def keyword, it means we are defining the function. These are called the parameter. And when we call the function, the value that we pass during call of the function, these are called the parameter. So this is the common thing that the function will check, which is the greatest number out of 3. Now, from which it has to check, I have passed those values during the call of the function. Here I have called the function. And in calling, I have passed 3 argument 23, 57, 12. And when I will execute, it will just print that out of these 3, which is the greatest. Let me execute it. So it says B is the greatest. So obviously it was 57, so B is the greatest. So whatever the program we have written yesterday or today, all can be converted in the form of functions. So actually function is nothing but a common name has been given to these statements. All these statements have been given a common name. The name is greatest of 3. So whenever we use this name, all these statements will be executed. Suppose I call it again here. I write the same statement but with different values. Say I copy it, I paste it. Again I paste it, again I paste it. I call this function 4 times. Every time I change the value. So this time I put 2, 5 and 12, and this time I put 23, 5 and say 1, and this time I put 45, 7 and 12. Okay. Now let me execute it. I will get 4 output. In the first, B is greatest, C is greatest, A is greatest, again A is greatest. It means 4 times whenever we call the function, the control goes to this point and this code is executed. It means this whole code has been given a common name, and that name is called function. I hope all of you understand this thing, that this whole code has been given a common name and that common name is called a function. So whenever we will use that common name, means we'll call the function, this whole code will be executed. So this means if we have called it 4 times, then this code has executed 4 times. We have written this code only once, but it is being used 4 times. So this increases the readability because the code decreases, it increases the readability, reusability of the code. This code has been reused again and again. Size of the program decreases. All these are the benefits of the functions. So in Python, def keyword is used to define the function, and to call the function, we have to just use the name of the function followed by parentheses. And if you are some parameters have been given here, then you have to pass the argument to those. Now, when we call a function which have some parameter, which requires some parameter, then automatically these parameter will be mapped. The A will be assigned the value 23, B will be assigned the value 57, and C will be assigned the value 12. Automatically, these values are mapped in the function. So in Python function, there are 3 types of parameters. In Python, there are 3 types of parameter. One is called positional argument, second is you can say keyword argument, and third is parameter with default values. These three important things: positional, keyword, and parameter with default values. So let me explain these. What are these? Positional means which depend upon the position of the values entered. Now, the parameter that we have passed in this program example, they are positional parameter, because whatever the value we are given in sequence, if I give there 57, if I change the sequence, I put there 57 and put there 23, and obviously A will be assigned 57, B will be assigned 23. So whatever the sequence we are we have written here, the same sequence will be followed while calling the function. So this type of argument are positional argument that depends upon the position, that picks the value according to their position. The argument or the parameter of the first, third parameter, third argument. One is keyword arguments. Keyword argument means if we are mentioning that instead of this writing 57, 23 and 12, we are using some keyword. Okay, I write A is equal to 57 and say C is equal to 23 and then B is equal to 12. Now these are the keyword arguments, which means the A will be assigned, the first will be assigned whatever given to the A, second will be assigned whatever the given to the B, third will be assigned whatever the given to the C. Now their order does not matter. If we change the order, still change of position will not affect it, because we are assigned that A is 57, then C is 23. But in previous case, whatever the order we are given here, that will be followed by these parameters. They will be stored respectively in this parameter. But in this case, as according to their name, they will be assigned different values. Then comes the parameter with default values. What happened in this? Suppose I have created this program, but I doubt that some value is fixed, or I don't want to enter C, I want to fix it. Suppose I give, okay, C is 100. I have to compare the two number, but the C is my fixed. C is 100. So if I give C is 23, then okay. If I did not mention the C, then the default value of C will be picked. If I did not mention it, then its default value will be picked. So I can give two default value also. Suppose I give A as 200 and then B, then C as 100. So if I give the value, then this value will be used. And if I did not pass any value, then the default value will be taken as. These are called the default parameters. The purpose of the parameter is to pass the value to the function. Then comes return statements. After these basic parameters, then comes return statement. A return means to take the output from the function. Instead of printing something, suppose let's create a small function. So name of the function is same. Okay. Let a sorry, I'm passing some argument ABC, some parameters there. I'm writing a small function. Whatever the three values are given to the function gives the sum of these values. Let s is equal to say a plus B plus C, and then it return this S, and here I pass the three values, say 10, 20, 30. Because I have used a return statement, what the function will do, whatever the three values will be given to it, it will do the sum of these three values and then return that value. Now it is not printing, it will return that value. Now where this value will go? This value will go where it has been called. I have to use some variable here. Suppose n is equal to this one. So this return value will be stored in n, and I have to use another statement to print this value. Print this n. So return means it is whatever the work it has done, it is giving it to back to the variable where this function has been called. So return statement just gives the output of the function, because it's a very common practice that when we create a function, we call it, we have to use its value somewhere else. We don't want just a final output. We want to use the output of the function at somewhere else. So in that case, the value is stored in some other variable. And what is that variable? When we call a function, we have to assign its value in some other variable and then use that value. So this is the return statement. There is another term that is lambda function. It's a very common term in Python language. It's a new term in Python language. It's a lambda function. It's a special type of function. We also call it as anonymous function, or those who have the knowledge of C++ language, it is actually similar to inline function. In C++, there is an inline function. It is similar to that. We call it anonymous function because it does not have any name. Suppose we have a function. The name is cube. It takes one argument and then returns the cube of that number. When we give some number, it returns the cube. Now I want to create its lambda function from this function. The lambda function is created as, you have to use the keyword lambda. You have to keyword lambda, and what this function do, it just take a cube root of a number and then store it into some variable. What this function do, I have written x, then colon, then what is being done by this function, take the cube, and then where the output will be stored in some n. So no return statement is required. And what I have to do, just how to call this function, just you have to print, you use the return value name. Suppose n is the variable where this value is returned, and then pass the argument. So these two codes replaced by this single line. So that's why we call it as inline function. They are rarely used, but they are beneficial when your function is very small. When function is very small, just replace them with a single line. So this reduces the coding size. Lambda function reduces the coding. Because it is a special type of function and commonly used, that's why I just told you that it's also used in Python. Types of argument we have already covered. Yes, we can return multiple values also from a function. We can return multiple values also. There is a concept of local and global also. Let me explain this. Okay. So before discussing the concept of local and global, let me explain a term, recursion. Recursion of a function. I think you're math students, so you must be familiar with this term, recursion of a function. What is recursion? Let me type it. So the term recursion means in programming or in you can say in function we use the term recursion when a function call itself repeatedly, then it is called recursion. When a function call itself repeatedly, we call it as recursion. So here is a simple program to find the factorial of a number using recursion. So what I have done, I have defined a function. Fact is the name of the function, and is the parameter. We will pass single parameter because we have to find the factorial. We'll pass single value. Now, if the value is 0, obviously factorial is 1, return 1. But if value is not 0, then what it will return? N into fact n minus 1. What it mean by fact n minus 1? If I pass 5, then what it will return? 5 multiplied by, it is calling the function again. It is calling the function again by passing one less value. Means if we have to find, suppose I have to find uh, 5 factorial, sorry, let's say 5 factorial, then how it will work? It will just call the function, and then at this statement n is 0, okay, it's not 0, this will not execute. It will directly come to this point, return n into fact n minus 1. Here n is 5, n is, I have given 5, so it will return 5 multiplied by, it will call the function fact by passing n minus 1, that is 4. This. So when it call fact 4 means control goes here. Again it will check n is 0, no. It will again go to this, return n into fact n minus 1, but this time 4 multiplied by fact 4 minus 1 means 3. It will come here. Again repeated same process, it will come 3 multiplied by fact 1 less, that is 2. Again loop will be there because until 0 is not coming, it is the control is again and again coming to this statement, return statement. Okay, next it will be 2, and then it will again call the same function itself, fact, by one less value, and now it will call 1, then fact 0. When it calls fact 0, when we pass 0 value, now if condition is satisfied and is 0, return 1. So this time this will not be returned, means function will not be called again. Return value will be 1. So return value will be 1 means what will happen in that? Here comes 1. 1. Fact 1 is 1. So 2 into 1, it comes here. Here comes the 2. Then 3 into 2, it will replaced by this. It will be 6. Then 6 into 4 will be replaced by this. That is 24. So the final result will be 24 multiplied by 5. So you will get the final answer as 120. So 5 factorial is 120. So in this way, it works, the recursion works. Means we are calling the function again and again by decreasing its value by 1. This one is for the factorial only, and even the same recursion can be used for to generate Fibonacci sequence also. I hope you know the Fibonacci sequence. You can also write a program using while loop also and using recursion also. The Fibonacci sequence starts with 1, first two number is 1, and then next number will be summation of previous two number, it is 2. Next number is summation of previous two number, that is 3. Next will be 5, 8, sorry, it's 8, and 13, and 21, and so on. This is the Fibonacci sequence. You can write a program to generate a Fibonacci sequence. You can try it as a for your practice. Just you have to write a program to generate Fibonacci sequence. Okay. Less than a given number, less than a given number, because we need some stopping value. No? Suppose we are given say 200, then the system will the system will automatically the system will automatically generate uh, Fibonacci sequence less than 200. So one more advantage, one more application of this Fibonacci sequence uh, can be in words also, that we are given two words. Suppose I given right and a, the system automatically predict the third word. This is the machine learning at advanced level. So this is the application that in machine learning also. But currently you must know what is Fibonacci sequence, how it is generated, and the same program can be generated using recursion also, because we are doing the same repeated work again and again. We have to pick previous two numbers, we have to just add them, and then again pick previous two number, add them, and keeps on continue. So this program can also be generated using while loop as well as using the recursion. So you can try in both the ways, using while loop as well as using the recursion. So these are the few things regarding the basics of functions. So let me just repeat it, what we have learned about the how to define a function. You must know you must know that how to write a function. You have to just use the keyword def, name of the function, pass some parameter, then write the code, lines of coding, what the function perform, and then you have to call the function. How to call the function? Just write the name of the function, and if you have used some parameter, then pass the argument. So passing the argument and parameter, there are three ways. One is positional argument, second is keyword argument, and the third was the default arguments. And you can also use the return statement, and this return value will be uh, saved in the variable where this function is being called. I hope the basic concepts or basic idea of the function is clear to you. So after this, we will discuss some now the next level concept regarding OOPS concept or some basic idea of the classes. Because you are a mathematics student, so no need to go detail, but some basic concept you should be clear about what is class and what is object and how to create a class in Python. Uh, Actually, I have told yesterday that Python support multiple paradigms. Python support multiple paradigm. It support functional programming. It support modular programming. OOPS concept is there. Even there are some scripting language also it support. So it's a multi-paradigm approach are followed by Python. So it's a combination of, you can say it's a combination of features of almost all the high-level languages. But it is purely object-oriented language. Even yesterday when we checked that when we declare a variable, like yesterday we checked that when I write something, say a is equal to 20, and then I write that what is the type of a, we check what type of data type has been assigned a. So the answer was class int. So the term class, this term is related with the object oriented programming. We can say that Python is purely object oriented programming. So everything in the Python is in the form of class and objects. So now first I will just give you some basic idea about what is class and what is object. So class can be you can say ki a generalized term. In object-oriented programming, we use objects and What is object? Object is a real world entity. You can just imagine the word class. Suppose we talk about a class that I have a MCA class. So in MCA class, what is the object? Every student of that class is an individual object. Every student of that class is an individual object. Now, when I talk about a class means a group. Class means you can say a group having some specific properties. Now, if I'm talking about a MC class, then MC class has some specific properties. What are those properties? Every student is graduate, has completed his graduate, and every student is studying some common subject. You know, every student has some registration numbers, unique IDs. These are some properties of the class. So every class has some, you can say, properties. You can say some attributes. And if we talk about in mathematics, then we can say a figure having four sides. Suppose we have a class with all the figures having four sides. Rectangle can be there in four-sided, square can be there, rhombus can be there. So we can call it as a class of four-sided figures. So all these four-sided figures. So what will be the object of this class? The name of the class is four-sided figure. What will be the object of this class? The individual item, that is rectangle, square, rhombus, these are the object of the class. All these will have some common properties. Means all have four sides, all have length and breadth. Okay? These are some common properties. These are the attribute of the class. So this type of concept is called object-oriented programming concept. So in programming also we create, instead of function, we create a class and then create object of that class. Now let's see how to create a class in Python language. Yeah, in Python, the class is created by using the class keywords. You have to use the class keyword, and then you have to mention the attribute of that class. Suppose I have taken a class name is area. It has two attributes. One is length is 10, breadth is 20. Then it has one. Then this one creates the object of the class. How the object is created? Object is created by using the name of the class followed by parentheses. So here C is the object, and this one is the name of the class area. So I have created an object. Now I can print the various members of the class, various properties of the class using this object. I am printing c dot length, c dot breadth. To assess this length and breadth, this object is created. Only this object can access this member of the class. So this type of, we can say also abstraction, you can say this portion is hidden. Only this object can access the member of the class. Okay, let's see some program. So this one is the name of the class is area, and these are the two members of the class. It has a length 10, breadth property you can say, and then I created an object. How the object is created? Just write some name of the object, just like common variable, and then equal to name of the class followed by parenthesis. Then using this object, I can print the properties or the attribute of this class. Now when I run this, execute it, it will give the value 10 and 0. So what are these two values, 10 and 0? These are the length and breadth of the class. So class keyword is used to create the class. Then object is created. How we can create the object? By using the class name followed by parentheses. You can create any number of objects. Suppose I create another object, say D. It's again name of the class followed by parentheses. Okay, so I can use this object also to assess the member of the class. I am getting the same output. So you can create as many objects as you want. Just like we have a class of students, so we can admit as many students as we want. Let's see another examples. Now here what I have done, uh, just like previous program, I created a class, given some values to its. These are called the member of the class. They are also called member of the class. I have given some value, initial value to the member of the class. After that, I created an object. Now, using this object, instead, before printing, what I am doing, I am changing the value of the its member. I am changing the value of member of the class. So how I am changing? I say c dot length. Length is a member of this. C dot length is 100. C dot breadth is 100. So I am printing this. So let's see what the output, whether it gives 10 0 or 100 200. It gives the 100 200 because the value have been changed now. Only the object of the class can change the value. If I directly write length 100 breadth 200, it will not change its value because the member of the class can be accessed only by object of the class. So you must be clear about this, the how to create a class using class keyword, then write some members, then how to create an object, write down the name of the variable is equal to name of the class followed by parentheses. After that, using this object, you can access the member of the class. Let's some other programs regarding this. Now, in this program, we are one more step have been covered. Now, two things are there. One are these attributes, which were in the previous program also. This thing is new. This is a method of the class. So it's like a function. The function in a class we call it as a method. So I have used the def keyword is a method, and this self, you should know, you must clearly listen that this self is the object of this class. This self is the object. In general, we create the object using this method, but this self is the default object which point to this class. It's a default value. Self is the default object. So what this function do, it just print this is my first class. Now created the object, changes the value of the length and the breadth, and here I call this function using object of the class. I just call this function. In previous program, by using this object, we were calling, what we were doing, we were just printing the length and the breadth, but now in this program, we are calling the function. So this is a new thing that I have added in this program. Along with these two values, I have also added a function in the class also. So a class is basically a combination of attributes and methods. And these attributes are used in this method. So when I run this program, what I will get, all these three output, length, breadth, as well as this is the output from the function that I have called. The function was developed to give this output. I call this CDOS display, so it print this message. So by using the object, I call three things: length, breadth, but its value was changed, so it gives the latest value, and then the function is called, and it prints the message. Let's see the next. Now, in this class, again same area is the name of the class, length is 10, breadth is 10. define a function. Now something changes here. Now this time in this function, instead of single parameter, I told previous in previous program we have only self. So it is the object which belong to this class. Here I have two additional parameter, length and breadth. Along with self, I have two additional parameter, length and breadth. What this function do? It calculate the area by multiplying length into breadth. Here in this line I created object. This one is, I just created the object. Here I call, I just print the length and the breadth. But now here what I have done, I pass two arguments, 100 and 20. So where these two argument goes, these two argument goes to this function. Length will be 100, breadth will be 20, so the answer will be 2000. Let's run this program. This one is, area is 2000. Area is 2000. So first it is displaying these values because I have right print c dot length, it is displaying 10, then c dot breadth, it is 0. But while calculating the area, I passed different values. Otherwise the answer would be 0. 10 into 0, it would be 0. But while calling this function, I passed these two arguments. So these two arguments were replaced by length and breadth. So the area come out to be 2000. So in this program, we have something, the new thing is these arguments. In previous program, there was only default argument, that was self, but in this, along with self, we have length and breadth also. Let's see, next program is, yeah, in this, let's say, I have created a class, say practical or whatever, you can give the name. Initialize some variable, also called instance variable. Then define a function. Now this function has two arguments. One is default, self. You have to always write this self argument. Now it has two arguments, self as well as x. Now the value of x is 30. I have print the value of local variable and global variable. Now there are two values, one x is 5, second x is 30. And third value I am passing when calling this function, that is 50. Now what will be the output? There are three values of x. One is 5, second is 30, third one is 50. This 50 value, when we call this function, I am passing this value 50. This 50 value, I expect this should be 50. But when I run this function, what the output I am getting 30 and 5. Its value is 30, its value is 5. Now how this value is 30 and how this value is 5? When I call this function, I pass value 50. So x become 50. But immediately in the next line, its value changed. Now x become 30. When this function start, immediately its value changed and it becomes 30. So therefore, the output will be, the value of the local variable is 30. Now, second is the value of the instance variable. This is the instance variable. Local variable means the variable which is defined inside a function. That is called local variable. But this is the instance variable, member of the class. Its value, how to assess this value? Its value we can assess only by using object of the class. So I have told you that self is the object of this class. Self is the default object of this class. By using self, we can assess any member of the class. So when I print this value, it come out to be 5. Because I have used it self.x. When I use self to assess this value, it come out to be 5. So in this way, you must also be aware now with the local and the global concept. The variable which is defined in a function is local to this function only. The variable that is defined in the function is local to this function only. So how to define a class is, I think, clear is Q. Adding method to a class. So in these slides, uh, we can see that method can be added by using def keyword. Then you have to pass the self parameter. Rest is same. We have already executed this program. Then comes passing self and other parameter to the class. So in this also we have passed three parameters in the display. One is self, then length, then breadth. So when we call this class, that is c.display, we pass only two arguments, 100 and 20. It means length will be assigned 100, breadth will be assigned 20. So self is the object. I've already told you self is just an object. It is not part of this you can say parameter. It's just an object to assess the member of the class. So this we have just executed this program to get the value of instance variable. We pass the value 50, but on calling the function, its value was changed to 30, and the instance variable value is 5. So both 30 and 5 are displayed. Yeah, this is new thing, the init method. Uh, the init method, the purpose of the, it is also called constructor. The purpose of the init method is to assign the value to the instance variable. Suppose we have suppose it's a simple program to find the area of a circle. But how can we do that? We just uh, define a class. Name of the class is circle. Here I am defining an init method. So init method is an inbuilt method. It is a special method. It's an inbuilt method. So how it is written? Underscore init underscore. So you have to define this method as def keyword. Then the name is fixed. You can't change the name. Underscore init underscore. So what? How many parameters it is taking? It generally take one parameter, but because we have to change, we have to find the area, so we pass another parameter, that is pi. And we mention self.pi is equal to pi. What it means, when we will call this, when we call this function, like here we are calling the function by passing the values 3.14. So this 3.14 will be assigned to this pi. So whenever we create an object, automatically the value to the instance variable is assigned. So instance variable are initialized automatically. Whenever we call the instance variable, whenever we whenever we create an object, this value will be assigned to the, automatically this code is executed. You can say automatically this code is executed. This function automatically called whenever we create an object. If you create this object, suppose I am creating one more object. Say I create one more object, d is equal to, how to create the object, just name of the class, and then pass some value, say 2.6, something like this. Now when I create another object, again this function, again this init method will be executed, and again this value will be modified. So there is no need to call this function. This function, init function, it automatically works. So it is a special type of function which is used to assign the value to the instance variable. And automatically it is called when an object of the class is created. So it was some basic introduction about classes and functions. I hope all of you have some basic concept, basic idea about these things. So in case of any doubt, you can ask.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes, sir. There are 3-4 doubts from the participants. So I am telling these one by one. The first one is there any command to clear the screen in Python shell?
In he's talking about Python
To
shell, Python
huh.
shell. No, there
Hmm.
is no there is no command. There is no command to clear that Python shell.
Okay.
You can do it, but there are some, always you can say some jugaad type of things. Suppose this is your Python shell, and you want to clear all these things. So you can say something like, say, uh, let me try it for in range, say 200. This is just a, you can say कि, I just printed a blank print statement 200 times, so it cleared the content. So now you can type here. Otherwise, there is no command that can clear this.
Okay.
You can do this by, you can say programming trick. You use this trick, clear it.
Okay, sir. There is another question from another participant that how to save a function and reuse it in another program.
Actually, this is a little bit different concept, but you can save it from the name of the file, and after that you can import it in another file. Use the import keyword. In the next lecture, I will show you this one, because we have to use, when we discuss the NumPy, we have to use the import command, and at that time I will show you that how to import another function or another file uh, to use it.
Okay. Okay. Actually, the next question is, can we call function from another file? I think he got the answer from your previous
Yeah,
reply. Okay. So the next question is, what is the difference between global variable and local variable?
actually the variable which is declared inside the function is called local variable, and it is local to the function in which it is being declared. For example, suppose I define a function. I define some function, say my function is, the name of the function is sum, and that I have this function, and I define some variable. I say a is equal to 10. Okay. Now this variable a is local for this function. If I print it outside the function, if I write print a, I will get the error message because it is known to this function only. Yes, I can print it inside the function. It will give the answer. If I print it inside the function, it's okay. But if I will print outside the function, it will just generate an error because it is local to the function. So the variable which is declared inside a function, they're local to that. Global are those which are outside the function. If I declare some variable here, suppose I write say b is equal to 20, then this is a global variable. It is not bound to the function. It's a global variable. So the variable outside the function, they're global, and they're which are inside the function, and they are local to that function.
Okay. So the next question is, so which specific Python app we will install?
Specific Python or
Because I think he was searching and he found many apps regarding Python. Hmm. Is
talking about mobile application or regarding this software, Python software?
no, it is not written. It is written which Python app will install because there are many apps regarding Python.
I think, sir, he is asking about mobile application only.
Mobile application, sir. Actually, I have to check out this. Yesterday when I told you, I have to check it whether something is there to do programming on Android or not. I will
Okay,
just
sir.
check it out and will tell you next lecture.
Yeah, then you can suggest tomorrow, sir.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, sir, one more participant is requesting for explaining the INIT method again.
Yeah, sure. Just a second. Actually, INIT is an inbuilt method. Remember this thing, it is inbuilt method. The main task of this method is to initialize the instance variable. Now, what are instance variable? Whenever we create a class, we take some variable in the class. They are called instance variable of the class. Okay? Otherwise, what we do, uh, for example, we have created this class. The name of the class is area. I have taken these two instance variable, length and breadth. So I have assigned value manually. It is 10, it is 0. But I don't want to assign that value now. I just want that when I run this program, this value is automatically assigned. Every time I run the program, I want different values. The class is area. Now, sometimes I want to find the area of rectangle. Sometimes I want to area of the sphere. Sometimes I want to area of the rhombus. So there are different things. So every time I want to different length and breadth. So every time I want to change the value. So for that, I want such a method. I want there should be such a method that automatically invoked, automatically execute whenever I create the object of the class. So init is inbuilt such a method which automatically execute. There is no need to call this method. It will be automatically invoked whenever we create an object of the class. So in init method, we can assign the values. We can pass a parameter at runtime. So like in this method, when we call the when we create the object, I pass this value 3.14. Now this 3.14 value will be assigned to the pi through this init method. I did not call this method. Automatically this method is executed. When execute? When we create an object. Then I create another object. Again this method will be executed and a different value will be assigned to this pi. I hope it's clear now.
Okay, so there are no more questions right now. So,
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
So Sanjeev sir, so these are the questions were from the participants. So we will meet you tomorrow in the first session. That will be your 5th lecture.
Sure, sir. Sure.
And yes, sir. So we will see you tomorrow, sir.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, participants. Thank you, Sanjeev sir. So dear participants, we will meet at 2:55 in the 3rd session of today's today. Dr. Anuj sir will again join us for the same. Thank you very much.